Taylor Swift's I Knew I Knew You is set to debut at number 1 on this upcoming chart with a pretty substantial margin. This will be her 15th number 1 overall, and one of the very few times in history that a soundtrack song has debuted at number 1. That is something that Disney has never done ever. I believe the last time that's ever happened in general was for the Trolls movie with Can't Stop This Feeling, but the last time it's happened for a female artist was back in the 90s with Titanic. It's important to know that this number 1, even with how big those numbers are, doesn't include the physical versions of I Knew It, I Knew You, which are set to ship on June 19th, so the week the movie actually comes out. So it is looking like, at the very least, there will be a second week at number 1 right when the movie comes out, even if it does dip next week. This is her third number 1 this year alone, with The Fate of Ophelia and Opalite earlier this year, and this will tie her personal record of most she's ever had in one calendar year before. She did this in 2023 as well with Cruel Summer, Antihero, and Is It Over Now? Hypothetically, if Taylor does do another project this year, like for example Debut TV, and the number 1 song comes for that, it will break her own personal record. It would not break the overall record, but Taylor has never had 4 number 1s in one year before. She'll break the tie she's currently in and take the 4th place spot overall of most number 1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100. But what's crazy to think about is the fact that Taylor has had a career for 20 years now, and she's had 15 number 1 hits, but she's had 10 of those number 1 hits in the 2020s decade alone, which kind of shows you how crazy this decade has been for her. It has been the peak of her career, which we've loved to see. Before 2020 was everything above Cardigan, so she'd only had 5 number 1 hits before this decade, and the other 10 have been in the 6 years since. So theoretically, if she keeps up with this pace, she could be entering that top 3 or even the top 2 positions by the end of this decade, and maybe even come for the overall title. Anyway, personally, this is one of my very favorite songs that has gone number 1 for her. I really like this sound. You could argue it's one of her first country-ish songs to go number 1. Officially, the only country songs she's had that's gone number 1 is We're Never Getting Back Together and All Too Well 10-minute version, but both of those feel a little less country than this one, which is kind of ironic to me, especially if we do end up getting Debut TV later this year, which is full-on country. Anyway, make sure to follow me for all these chart updates. I'll keep you guys informed. I don't think there'll be any sort of battle this week. I think it's pretty safely in Taylor's camp, but maybe next week we'll compete for number 1. But regardless, the week after is definitely going to be time where Taylor's team moves for her to go number 1 again. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them.